Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Jenn Riley about her wedding at the Grand Floridian Marina with a reception at the St. Augustine Ballroom at the Grand Floridian and a Fantasmic dessert party. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Disney.
I think it's kind of like everybody else's story. I'm a Disney girl. I've been going since I was about 6 years old, so it's kind of been a dream to have this happen. This was his second time being at Disney, so it was definitely a shock to see that he wanted to get married there, but he knew that that's what I wanted and what I've always wanted to do.
That's wonderful. How did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be?
Very happy, shocked, I think, a little bit. My family is into Disney too. His sister is also into Disney, so it was kind of a surprise, but they kind of saw it coming.
How many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
Well, the funny thing is we started with 12 and then it got up to 25. So it kind of went up from what we started with. So it was a bigger crowd than we had originally planned.
Interesting. Okay. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
Yeah, we did. We did Pop Century and the Grand Floridian.
Nice. Okay. Now, how did you guys choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
The day of the week, we wanted to keep it around our anniversary, which was October 11th. So we wanted to kind of keep it around that time. And we have a niece and nephew who are in school. So we figured Columbus Day weekend was the best weekend to do it. And then the time, we wanted an earlier time, but 12 is what they had. So we figured that was the best to get it done before rain or before it gets too hot. So.
Okay. And how did you choose your ceremony and reception venues?
So the ceremony, when he first went to Disney back in 2021, we actually had lunch right in the marina. And once we saw that was listed as a location, we instantly knew that was the spot. We would do anything we could to get that spot. In terms of reception, we wanted to keep it in the same proximity within walking distance. So the ballroom kind of fit our needs the best.
Got it. You guys had a really great theme for your wedding. Can you talk a little bit about what that was and what elements you brought in to incorporate the theme?
So we did the Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride in Disney, favorite of anything you can think of. In terms of theming, we had little planters that had Hitchhiking Ghost, Madame Leota, Hatbox Ghost, who's my personal favorite, tablecloths that were pretty close to the wallpaper from the ride. And then our hat box for our cards, and just the floral was very Haunted Mansion-esque on the Halloween side as well.
That's great. Did you do anything with the music or the entertainment for the theme?
For the music, we did do some Haunted Mansion stuff. I actually walked down the aisle to Grim Grinning Ghost, and we entered our reception to the Boo to You from the Boo to You parade from the Halloween party. And then we actually had Mickey and Minnie make a special appearance, and they were in their Halloween gear.
That's interesting. Did you have to get special permission for those costumes?
I wanted Mickey and Minnie. I really wasn't specific on the outfits at that point, but they had sent me a few options to pick from, and that one just kind of fit. It was orange and black, very, very Halloween-like, so it was kind of their recommendation, and that one just kind of fit perfectly.
That's wonderful. Did you guys use any outside vendors for the portions of your event that you were able?
The only thing that we used was photography, and we went with the Fruits photography. Everything else Disney handled. We brought in a few of our own decor, but they were the only really outside vendor that we used.
And for the things that you brought in yourself, who set that up for you?
So it was actually Bill's sister, my sister-in-law, and our grandmother that did it before the reception.
Oh, that's great. How did you guys choose your officiant?
That was a little tricky because I wasn't sure, but I went off reviews. Disney sent the list, so I kind of went through each and read the reviews. We ended up going with Rev Kev, who was phenomenal. I recommend him to anybody. He was perfect. He made it funny. It was just, I don't regret it whatsoever.
Now, you had the characters at the reception. Did you add any other kind of entertainment to the ceremony or reception?
We just had them, and then we had our DJ, but that was it.
Great. Do you have any menu items or cake flavors you would recommend?
For menu items, all the food was great. Everybody raved about the food, but we had maple flavored like whoopie pies that were shaped like Mickey's. Those were a hit at the dessert party. The cake flavors were good. Unfortunately, me and Bill had so much to do. We only got a few bites of the cake, so we didn't really get to experience it. But we did chocolate cake with the cream cheese and then red velvet with maple. We did a 2-tier. The red velvet I had a little bit of, and that was actually pretty good. I mean, I think everybody liked everything.
Wonderful. Now, can you talk a bit about your Fantasmic party that you added?
Yeah, so Fantasmic is my favorite show in Disney. And this is the first time I've seen it since it's come back since the pandemic. So this was his first time seeing it. In general, my first time seeing it with the new iteration. It was perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better. We all met there. It was something that we had to have. So once I knew that was an option, we had to lock that in and make that work.
Did you add a ride mix in afterward?
We did Toy Story Mania.
Oh, fun. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day ran?
Yeah, so our makeup showed up in my sister-in-law's room at, I think it was 7 a.m. So we got started pretty early, did that for a while. Photography showed up in my room, I think at like 9:30. One came to my room. He went to Bill's room and took some photos of the guys. Went downstairs at about 11:30 to get on the bus, to get bussed over to the marina. Ceremony was at 12. I think we were done about 12:30, so it was very, very quick, very simple. And then we went off, did some of our own photos with the family, and then me and Bill went into the lobby of the Grand Floridian and did our own little photos on the stairs in front of the big chandelier, came back, had the reception, and then went to the dessert party after that.
Got it. Now, when you were planning, what were some of the most important aspects where you focused your attention or your budget?
Photography was huge for me, so that was very important to make sure we found the right person. I did a lot of research with the photographers that Disney provided. I did some outside research. From listening to the podcast, I heard a lot of people used Roots and they highly recommend them. And once I had the first call with them, I knew that was it. They were great. So I put a lot of energy into that, and probably the decor. I spent a lot of time going through the theme, trying to get everything put together.
Interesting. Did you provide a PowerPoint to the floral team, or how did you do that?
Yeah, I did. I had a PowerPoint for the floral team and also just with my regular planner. I had everything laid out with examples and pictures, and I had a lot of time to figure out what I wanted.
So were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
Not really. We didn't have a lot of flowers per se. It was more of like the decor, because flowers weren't like super big for me, but we had a few. But other than that, I think our money kind of went everywhere we needed it to go, and everything was important to both of us. Okay.
What ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding day?
We just talked about this before I came on with you, and it's hard to pick just one, but there's so many. The day was perfect, but I think one of the best things, and we both agreed, was where we got married. Gasparilla Grill is right in front of there, so we actually had an audience of people watching while we got married, and they cheered, hooted, and hollered after everything was done. They were taking pictures. Just all of that. And then even just walking around from A to B in my dress in his tux, people coming up to you, congratulating you. Even little kids were coming up and saying congratulations. It was just, it felt different, but it was like, it made everything kind of come together. So I think that was our number one. And then the characters was a surprise to our guests. So to see their faces, the kids' faces, that would probably be number two as well.
That's fantastic. Did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
If it did, they didn't tell us because everything in my eyes was perfect. I made a little mistake. I forgot some clothes at another hotel that we were staying at. So our nighttime attire had to be adjusted. But other than that, everything was seamless in my eyes. And they didn't tell us if anything did go wrong.
And then was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about and then it turned out not to be?
I think for me, getting from point A to point B, because I got ready over at the DBC Villas on the other side of the Grand, and then the Marina's on the complete opposite side. So I didn't know. At first, I was going to walk, and then I realized that's a distance, and I don't want to walk that far or make my girls walk that far. So I was like, how are we going to do this? Do I have to get a bus? It all worked out, but that was stressful. And then I think getting my wedding dress from where we live down there was very stressful because you hear horror stories, and it all worked out. Everybody was great on the plane, and everything got there in one piece.
Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
A couple. I think I would book transportation from the reception to the dessert party. Things got a little tight for timing because I didn't know how strict they were with timing. They told us to be there. So I was scrambling. I had to send half the party ahead to meet with the planner because we were running behind. So I would probably book transportation or try to put a little bit more time in between the two events.
Interesting. So you just had everybody meet at the front of Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, so we all took the bus, like the Disney transportation from the Grand to Hollywood Studios, and then the planner for the night met us right out front of the gates.
Okay, got it. Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples, maybe ones who want to incorporate a theme like Haunted Mansion?
I would say trust the process, trust the system. Going into it, I was nervous. I'm an anxious person. So I didn't know how it was going to go. I was worried that something was going to happen and wasn't going to come out the way I wanted. Trust the system. They know what they're doing. They were phenomenal. And have your ideas ready. And if they can't do what you want, they'll give you a suggestion on we can do it this way or we can do it that way. And it will still come out perfect. So definitely go in with ideas, a PowerPoint. It's very ambitious, but they appreciate it, having it all laid out.
That's great advice. Well, Jennifer, I think you've offered a lot of great tips for anyone who's interested in getting married at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thanks again so much.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.